The character Holly Gibney makes her seventh appearance in print. Hello, welcome to my channel. Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and today I'm going to be reviewing Never Flinch by Stephen King, published in 2025. This is the seventh story that features his character, Holly Gibney. Holly Gibney first appeared as a minor character or a sub-character in Mr. Mercedes, but she took a life of her own. It's as if the character in that story was saying, I'm not doing what you tell me, Mr. King. I want to be a more major character. That happens to authors sometimes when minor characters refuse to obey. And Holly refused to obey. Good for you, Holly. She then appeared in the rest of the Bill Hodges series, which was Finders Keepers, then End of Watch. Then she appeared in a novel of her own, The Outsider, and then a novella, If It Bleeds, followed up by a novel, Holly, and then this one itself, Never Flinch. And I like the character of Holly. She is, in essence, an autistic woman, somewhere on that spectrum. Don't ask me where, I am not a medical professional. But in the first book, Mr. Mercedes, she was having a tough time in her life. She was under the care of her mother and thought she would be under her mother's care forever. But Holly proved more resourceful. She had her own talents. She was very good at sort of mulling things over in her mind and making connections that other people could not connect. And I really liked her character development. From a woman that was not quite hopeless or helpless, but nearly so, until the last few books where she's fully independent. She can take care of herself and she can take care of others, and she is not a woman that anyone would want to cross in any sort of way. She's a good woman and powerful in her own right. So, the basic plot of Never Flinch follows a number of storylines. There is a prisoner who is murdered in prison. It turns out that he was innocent. Then there is this man named Triggs. The reader isn't quite sure who Triggs is yet. He is sort of narrating his own story, not in first person, but he is the main focus. And he is out to kill some people. He writes a letter to the police saying 13 people will die, 12 innocent and 1 guilty for the man who died in prison, an innocent man who was convicted wrongly by the jury. And yes, he starts killing people at random and starts sticking notes in their hands with names. Now, I'm going to say right here that as a mystery novel, there is a glaringly big hole right here that the police missed something that any competent police officer would have picked up. Of course, Holly will pick up on it a bit later. Holly is a private investigator. She owns Finders Keepers, which she inherited from Bill Hodges in the first trilogy. The police detective in the jury murder case consults with Holly on the side because Holly has this special insight that she can sometimes come up with. There is a second storyline about another disturbed person who is going after this woman named Kate. Kate is a feminist. She has published a book. She is going on a speaking tour. Her idea is to promote feminism, that women have the rights to decide what to do with their own bodies, especially with abortion. And she has attracted this narrator, this point of view, who does not think women should have that right. And this narrator is going to say, Kate, keep your mouth shut, or bad things are going to happen to you. And it escalates. This person throws some fluid in her assistant's face. At first they think it's acid, but it turns out to be only Drano. Still a serious attack and showing some serious intent from this psychopath. Now, my problem here is you having some alternating storylines between one psychopath and then a different psychopath. And the reader knows that somewhere along the story, those paths are going to converge, and they're going to converge with Holly involved. So this book is much more of a standard mystery than some of the other books in the series. Some of the other books in the series are just mysteries, and some of them have this taint, this touch of the supernatural. So the reader never quite knows what is going to be happening in this book. It could be a mystery, it could be a horror, and that leaves something in the reader's mind that you just don't know what Holly is going to encounter. I like that point. But as I sort of hinting that I don't think these dual narratives will work very well together. But once these two storylines eventually converge, and it's not a spoiler, the reader knows they're going to converge, I found it a little disappointing, a little stressed, a little forced, a little too convenient and coincidental. I think this book could have done better with just one of the storylines involving these two killers or stalkers and Holly. Trying to force them together just did not work, in my humble opinion. Now, does this make this a bad book? No, it didn't. I did thoroughly enjoy reading this. It's a fairly quick read, but it's not one of King's strongest books. It's not even one of the strongest in the Holly series. Now, if I were to rank the Holly series, I would rank Mr. Mercedes first, Holly second, Finders Keepers third, The Outsider, or maybe End of Watch fourth. You could flip-flop those either way. I would be happy. And then you come down to Never Flinch or If It Bleeds. One of those two deserve the bottom. It could be If It Bleeds, or it could be Never Flinch. Neither of those two stories are the strongest ones. And even King himself admits in his afterwards that maybe this book isn't all that it could be. Let me read you the quote. "Thanks to my wife, who read the first draft of this book and said, 'You can do better.' That was hard news to get, but eventually I heeded it because she was right. She usually is. I love you, Tabitha." So there is Stephen King admitting that, at least in the first draft, that he could have done better. What he left unsaid in this second draft or third draft or final draft is that you still could have done better. I have no idea what his wife, Tabitha, said to Stephen King, but maybe she says, "It's all right. You have done better, but it's just all right." Because in the end, Never Flinch is just an all right book. Will I read more stories by Holly Gibney or about Holly Gibney if Stephen King publishes them? Yes, I will, but I hope he does a little bit better. Because Holly, in this book, seemed to be just a character going along with the flow. As if Stephen King had to deliver a book, it was going to be a Holly Gibney book, and she just wasn't all there. Where art thou, Holly, in Never Flinch? You've had better cases, you've done better jobs, and I want to see you have another fabulous adventure. Or maybe the Holly Gibney series have reached their crescendo in the previous book, Holly, and now she's just a character that can appear in books, that whatever magic that took her out of Mr. Mercedes and made Mr. King write more about him is just along for the ride, as Stephen King was just typing out this story on his word processor. If you're a Holly Gibney fan, you're going to read this book. But like me, I hope you do better next time, Mr. King, because I want to know more about Holly, the Holly that refused to obey in Mr. Mercedes. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.